Welcome. So for this practice, you're going to begin resting on your belly. Good. So as you lower yourself against the ground, let the legs rest. Let the arms relax at the sides of the body. So the heads of the shoulders are going to roll forward, and the space between the shoulder blades is going to be really broad. And notice how Melissa's palms are facing up to the ceiling. Allow yours to do the same. And then you can rest your head. We'll start here, resting on our right cheek. So your chin is turning over your left shoulder. And before we begin with movement, let's dial into the breath here. Drawing in through the nose, filling up into the capacity of the lungs, so much so that you can feel your belly press against the ground. Let the lungs really fill up. So much so that the waistline expands, the ribs get wider, the space between the shoulder blades expands. And then each time you feel this fullness through the inhale, let the exhale just roll right back out. Either way, through the nose or through the mouth, let it feel really easeful. But at the end of the exhale, create a contraction, hugging the navel up and in, squeezing the abdominals. 2 more rounds like this. Breathe in deeply. And when you think that there isn't anywhere else to stretch the breath, find a new spot. Breathe into the fullness of the lungs at your pace, and then let the exhale rush back out and contract it at the end. 1 more time. Breathe in, really full, really expansive, really deep, and then exhale, let it all rush back out. So as you rest here against the ground with the head turned in one direction, you're creating this twist, this stretch through the side of the neck. With the head in this position, stretching the right side of the neck and letting that reach down the length of the right arm. So feel the right arm. Turn your attention completely to the sensations through the length of the arm. Take a big breath in, squeeze the right fist, curl the fingers in, hug that hand as tight as you can. Create a contraction through all the muscles. Keep holding on to the breath, and then with a big sigh, relax the arm, relax the hand, and let the whole right arm recuperate and recover. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, turn the chin the other way. So now resting on the left cheek, looking over the right shoulder. And notice here, as you stretch in this position, that now the left side of the neck gets lit up. There's a subtle stretch. And you can almost like feel the pulse of your heart through the length of your neck and behind your ear. Feel the structure of your cheek resting against the ground, your temple resting against the ground. And then follow this line of sensation down the length of the left arm. And when you feel the top of the hand resting against the ground, take a big breath in, curl the fingers of only the left hand nice and tight. Make a tight fist. Squeeze that arm. Contract the tricep. Hug everything nice and tight. Hold the breath a second longer. And then with a big sigh, with a big exhale, relax the arm, relax the hand. Continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. Keeping the head exactly in this position, slide the right hand up toward the shoulder and press the palm into the ground underneath the right shoulder. Reach the left arm out to the side, palm down, shoulder height, nice and long. Now bend the right knee, bring the heel toward the glute. Take a big breath in and then exhale, roll over onto the left side. Take the right foot wide, so step it back even more. Bend the right knee out a little bit, creating a stretch through the seam of the right leg. So as you stabilize through the right foot, you're creating this feedback loop from the front of the left shoulder, pinned underneath you. Now take the right hand, come high up onto the fingertips. The elbow points up toward the ceiling. Draw that shoulder back and open. Nice. So use the leverage of the right hand to either amplify or release some of the stretch and tension against the pinned shoulder underneath you. So as we do this too, we're inhibiting the blood flow to the left arm, which is actually good, right? We're creating this like tourniquet sensation. Take another big breath in, feel that diagonal stretch from the left shoulder to the right knee, and then exhale, roll back onto your abdomen. Keep the left arm extended, make a fist with the hand, open and close, pumping the blood back into that arm. Switching sides here, slide the right arm out, slide the left arm in. You're an expert this time. Bending the left knee, rolling over onto the right side body. Now notice the position of the head here too. This is important. You don't want to have any tension there. So let the head hang heavy and almost maybe like rotate it down so the nose points a little bit closer to the ground. It doesn't have to be exaggerated. It's just a way to notice what kind of tension you're creating there. And just like on the first side, creating all these dynamic actions with leverage. So the left knee, the left foot behind you now is a point of leverage. The left hand underneath you is another point of leverage. And then the rest of the body is kind of like in this position of stillness as you work the tension and the pressure that you create by using the fingertips and the foot behind you. You are in the driver's seat here, creating as much intensity for these shapes as you like, or releasing it as much as you need to. Continue to breathe really big, witnessing this diagonal action that happens here in the body, from the pinned shoulder underneath you to the knee open above you. Take another big breath in, and exhale, roll back onto the belly. Keep the right arm extended, make a fist, open and close, open and close. Good. Keep the left hand underneath the left shoulder, slide the right hand underneath the right shoulder, and then from here, pressing into the tops of the feet, curl up, coming into a little cobra. Squeeze the triceps toward one another. Hardly any weight on the hands here, just opening up through the front body. Breathe in, exhale, lower down. Good, 2 more times like that. Inhale, curl up. Exhale, lower down. 1 more time. Inhale, curl up. A little bit more height this time. Reaching open through the heart. Point the chin to the ceiling. Open up through the sternum. Exhale, lower back down. Press the hips back to the heels, coming to child's pose. Good. In this extended variation, the arms are reaching out ahead of you, the hips are resting against the heels, the ribs are resting in the space between the thighs, the forehead is resting against the ground. Pressing a little bit of weight into the fingertips as you reach the arms out in front of you, taking the slack out of the arms, pushing the hips back a little bit more, breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Keeping the hips resting against the heels, start to walk the hands in toward the knees as you roll up slowly into a kneeling position. Now, if it's uncomfortable for you to have the heels tucked directly underneath the hips, you can place a cushion underneath your hips to give you a little bit of lift here, a little bit of support, or you can always separate the feet and let the hips rest closer to the ground. Whatever variation works for you. Take the hands behind you and interlace them at the lower back. Squeeze the heels of the hands together. Take the slack out of the arms. Stretch down with the knuckles. Draw the heads of the shoulders back and open. Feel the sides of the neck grow in length as you drive the knuckles down. Reach forward through the sternum, pick the chin up, start to drop the head back, roll the shoulders open even more. Press the belly forward slightly, creating a back bend here. Breathe in. Good, and exhale, keep the hands as they are, but relax all the effort in the body. Take your knuckles to the right side of your waist. Both knuckles come over. Good. And then as you set them up here, draw the right elbow back. Keep lifting up through the chest, and then turn the chin over the opposite shoulder. Stretching open through the front delt on the right side in particular. Take another big breath in here. Exhale, drop the chin down, let it rotate across the collarbones, picking it up on the second side, resting it back through center, taking the knuckles back to the other side, switching sides here, releasing along the waistline and then bringing them over to the left. Now, if you can't maintain this clasp, that's okay. You can get a hold of your fingers, you can get a hold of your wrist. We just want to create that tension through the front of the shoulder. So now with the knuckles in place on the left waistline, draw the left shoulder back. Point the left elbow back, squeeze it in toward the ribs almost, and then turn the chin over the right shoulder. Opening up through the collarbones, through the front delts, through the muscles of the chest, the upper muscles. Continue to breathe here. Good, and then drop the chin down, let it create this rotation through center all the way over to the other side. And then all the way back through center. Good, and then let the knuckles be in a neutral position behind you. Nice, and then drive them down again, create that back bend once more. Pick the chest up, pick the chin up, arching the back as you drive the knuckles down. Now this time, leading with the heart, pour yourself forward, bringing the forehead toward the knees. Now, for some of you, you'll be able to lift the knuckles up much like Melissa's doing here. For others, it might not be that easy. So wherever you are in this, remember that it's the sensation that we're seeking, not the completion of the shape. So if you're getting a ton of sensation, but your knuckles are still down by your tailbone, you're winning, you're doing it. Continue to breathe because this is not an easy shape to rest in. Another deep breath here. And then with your next inhale, leading with the knuckles, pull yourself back up. Keep the head relaxed, chin tucked in toward the chest, lift it up last. Good, and then relax the hands. Reach the arms around and up. Interlace the fingers with the palms up, pressing them overhead this time. Big stretch, breathe in. And exhale, release, coming back down to all fours, hands and knees. From a hands and knees position, just move through a few cat and cows here. So arching the back, rounding the back, moving up and down through the length of the spine, keeping it really simple. And then making your way back into a neutral shape, shifting your weight forward, coming again onto your abdomen. So from your belly, bend your knees, bring your heels toward your glutes. So for a lot of us, naturally what's going to happen here is the knees are going to either draw in toward one another or splay away from one another. For our purposes, pay attention to where the knees are positioned here, aligned with the hips, aligned with the heels. Now, if we want to really go for gold, give this a try. And if it doesn't work out, that's okay, we'll win anyway. So from here, pick the chest up. We're going to reach the arms back behind us, catch the ankles at the same time. Woo, winning. All right, so once you get a hold of yourself, now you're gonna drive the shin bones back. Imagine pushing the shins toward the wall, and automatically the chest is gonna lift up. It doesn't have a choice, it has to come for the ride. So as you lift the chest up, press the shins back. Then pick the thighs up, lift the belly up. So this action keeps happening, and you're probably holding your breath, so I'm gonna remind you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. And if you're rocking, that's awesome. Let yourself rock. Let yourself move into this. Continue to breathe. Open up the chest, drawing blood into the front body. Take another big breath in and exhale, relax. Lowering down, releasing the legs. Shimmy the hips side to side. It's going to feel so good. Excellent. Good, and then slide the hands underneath the shoulders, press the hips back to the heels, coming into child's pose. This time, keep the knees close together. Take the hands and reach them back toward the heels, forehead toward the knees. So we're rounding the back now, creating this counter stretch. We move from these deep back bends into these really deep forward folded positions. Continue to breathe in and out through the nose. Awesome, and then slide the hands forward so that they're underneath the knees. And pick yourself back up so that we're sitting on the heels once again. Excellent. Okay, so coming into a few different variations for a camel shape here. We'll start in the more, okay, we'll keep it really simple at first. So to try something a little bit more spicy, a little bit more daring, the first thing we're going to do is from this position, reach back and get a hold of your heels. Hold on to them tightly. Awesome. So you can grip them however seems best for you. I suggest holding on so that the palm of the hand is resting around the heel and the thumb is on the outside. Good. So now from here, what we're going to do is holding on tightly to the heels, we're going to start to lift the hips up. The shoulder heads are going to rotate open, press the hips forward, drop the head back, and we're right into the shape, right in it. Keep pressing the hips forward, squeezing the thighs toward one another. Keep lifting up through the sternum, drop the head back, drop the head back, drop the head back, and breathe. A lot of vulnerability opens up when we take these shapes, so be kind to yourself as you feel that. Take another big breath in, make sure you're breathing, and then exhale, relax the hips back to the heels. Good, rounding the back once again, moving through cat and cow here, opening up the flexibility. So if in your home practice, you're like, well, that didn't work out quite like it did for Melissa, there are other ways that we can access the shape. One of my favorite things to do is dare you to try it the hard way first. Okay, so let's uncomplicate things. Come to standing on your knees. Lift your hips up off of your heels. Good. So the front body is nice and open here. So to keep it really simple as we graduate back into the depth of the shape, Melissa's going to take her hands to her lower back, palms pressing against the hips, fingertips pointing down. Just like we did in that shoulder stretch, draw the elbows back. Open up through the front delts, open up through the heart space, drop the head back. This is enough for some of us, right, to create this back bending experience, especially opening up through the throat. Keep drawing the shoulders back, keep pointing the chin up, and then start to press the heart further forward, and then the hips further forward. Squeeze the thighs toward one another, breathe in. From here, you can graduate the shape by dropping down and reaching for one heel and then the other. Continue to breathe. And then coming back up through center, picking the head and neck up, reaching the heart forward, rounding yourself all the way forward, coming into that child's pose once again. Forehead toward the knees, chin in toward the chest, reaching the hands toward the feet. Good, and then making our way into our final variation of camel pose, rising back up, standing on the knees once again. So this time, we're gonna reach back and get a hold of the ankles, maybe one and then the other. You see as Melissa tucks her toes under to give herself some height, that makes sense for most of us. Good, and now she's got a hold of her ankles nice and strong, and now here she's gonna use all the effort she did in the previous poses to create more depth in the shape. You see how her hips are pressing forward, her thighs squeeze together, her chest lifts up, and her head drops back. Back bends are an illusion. Your spine doesn't make this shape. It's everything that's happening in the upper body and the lower body, because the thoracic spine is more or less fused. It's not really moving. So here is just the cervical spine and the lumbar spine putting on a show. And that's front body opening up. Take another big breath in here. Make sure you're breathing. And then exhale, release. And now this time, as Melissa presses her hips back to her heels, brings her forehead toward her knees, she's gonna get a hold of her feet this time. Good. And from here, she brings the crown of the head to the mat, forehead toward the knees. She's going to roll forward, picking the hips up, taking rabbit shape. So now from those deep back bends, right, we're compressing the spine in one direction. We're compressing it now in the opposite direction, stretching open through the shoulder blades, opening up through the space in the waistline along the back body, continuing to breathe in and out through the nose. Good. And then exhale, releasing the hips back to the heels, releasing the grip on the heels, and nourishing the body by resting here for a few moments, breathing in and out through the nose. Sliding the hands forward, rising back up into a seated shape. This time, sitting the hips to one side or the other, sweep the legs out in front of you, sitting with the legs nice and long. Good. Scoot the hips forward so that you have mat space underneath you and help yourself to laying back. Good. And once you're laying back, bend your knees, bring the soles of the feet against the mat. Knees and feet separated, hips distance apart. Give yourself plenty of room and plenty of support. Arms resting at either side of the body, fingers reaching toward the heels. We're going to work our way into some bridge variations. So draw the shoulder blades underneath you. Open up the chest. So arching the back here. Press down firmly into the feet. Squeeze the thighs toward one another. And now pick the hips up. Pick the belly up, pick the chest up. So now the glutes are essential. You need them to pick the whole body up. But in order to really access the benefits of the shape, you want to relax the glutes, squeeze the thighs toward one another, pick up through the belly. So here you'll hear, mula bandha, right? So we're engaging the muscles of the pelvic floor by lifting up and in internally. Relax the glute muscles. You'll have to remind yourself this multiple times as you're in the shape. Melissa's taken a few variations with her hands here. She's held onto her ankles and now she has her fingers interlaced. As she does this, she creates leverage. As she presses down into her pinky fingers, she can lift her heart space up a little bit more, creating more of that arching look here. Squeeze the thighs together, take another big breath in, and then exhale, relax. Good, and once the hips meet the mat, rock the knees side to side, and then hug them into the chest. Give yourself a sweet squeeze, hugging in. Excellent. So in practice, you can take another variation on bridge pose. When you're at home, if you have a prop with you or some sort of support, perhaps a few books, you can stack them underneath your sacrum to hold your hips up in this position. But for our purposes, we're going to continue and move on here. So moving now into wheel pose. When you graduate into these bigger back bends, you want to make sure that you've got, lots of support here in your body. So making sure that you're nice and warm, perhaps practicing along with another one of our practices before you move into this. Take your hands to either side of your ears, fingertips pointing to your shoulders, elbows pointing up toward the ceiling. Squeeze your triceps toward one another. So much like the way that you have the feet and the legs set up, you want to create the same dynamic with the upper body. So the feet are pressing down, the thighs are squeezing together. The hands are pressing down, the triceps are squeezing together. So as you push down into the feet, pick the hips up, pick the belly up, pick the chest up. Now, press the chest away from the hips. Push down into the feet, squeeze the thighs toward one another, and keep lifting up and out with the heart. Squeeze the triceps in, press down into the hands, continue to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. When your practice is complete, tuck the chin into the chest first, and then begin to lower yourself down onto the mat. And then once your spine is resting, rock the knees side to side. And hug them into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. A back bending practice is a great way to end the day if you've been driving a lot, if you've been sitting at a computer a lot, at a desk, really doing just about anything. we're so prone to round our back and shield our heart space in our front body. A backbending practice reverses all of that. It creates energy and revitalization. So as we integrate all of that, coming now into a reclining spinal twist, stacking the ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders to the right, so laying on your right side. Stack your arms one on top of the other, palms touching. Draw the knees up in toward the chest so you're in a fetal position. And then take the top arm and trace a circle overhead as you rest the shoulder in the opposite direction. So both shoulders rest against the ground. We turn the chin over the extended arm away from the knees. And we rest here in a spinal twist, breathing in and out through the nose. With your next inhale, using your abdominal muscles, draw the knees back through center and across the body, setting up on the second side, resting on your left side. The idea behind setting it up this way is to create a relationship in the shoulders so that we're moving, we're creating this dynamic relationship rather than moving into the shape in a static way. This way we afford optimal placement for our shoulders and our hips as we rest into the twist. Continue to breathe in and out through the nose. Inhale, draw the knees back into the chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Hold on tightly. Draw in as much breath as you can possibly muster. Create as much tension in your body as you possibly can. Curl your toes. Tighten up the muscles of your face. Hold on to that tension. Really feel it for real and know that you're creating this tension in your body. You're mastering it. You're using it. You're creating it. You're holding it. And then with a big sigh and a big exhale, relax your whole body. Let it all go. And you're creating that too. Yoga teaches us our power, our autonomy, our sovereignty, and how we are always in control, ultimately, of how we feel in our bodies. As you make your way into your resting position to finish out this practice, allow your eyes to relax closed. And take these moments to circulate your awareness around your body, honoring all the effort that you've put in, releasing yourself muscle by muscle, breath by breath. Find a stillness and stay with it. In your home practice, you can stay for as long as you like, resting your bones heavy against the ground, following the rhythm of your breath, away from the chatter of your mind. When you're ready, allow your inhales to grow in depth and scope. Feel the fullness of your lungs once again. Begin to move in small ways, your fingers, your toes, your wrists and ankles. Let your head rock side to side. Reach your arms long overhead, take a full body stretch. Breathe in, open mouth, sigh, let it all back out. Again, breathe in, flex your hands, flex your feet. Stick out your tongue, let it out. Good, and as you bend your knees, roll yourself onto your right side. Take a moment here. And then make your way into an easy cross-legged seated shape to complete your practice. Thank you so much for spending your time practicing with us. Until next time.
Want more? Become a member today. For $25 a month, you'll receive exclusive content and access to our online library full of classes to take anytime, anywhere.